So I have my desktop open out here for cleaning, and the reason for that is because one of the drives dropped out of the RAID array again. So the first time a drive dropped out, it was this one, and this happened while I was away. So it was really annoying getting this fixed. But this is the drive that dropped out. I think I talked about that actually. And after looking at how it was all wired, this drive went to not this SATA port, but the SATA port behind it. There are two of them right here, the middle back one. And I'm worried that that port is like messed up. So right now I have both of those drives going in through these two ports, which I should actually probably change into these two ports because, yeah, no, these are the, those bottom two ports are the aren't controlled by the Intel chipset. Instead, they're controlled by some third-party chipset, and I mean, that's not really a bad thing, but I do think that these bottom two ones have some performance issues for, like, sustained reads and writes. So for safety's sake, I'm going to plug those into there. And then I have two other ones, one that goes to this SATA drive and one that goes to this SATA drive. So yeah, right now I'm not using these middle two ports, which could be a problem for the future because at some point I do plan on throwing more drives in here. I mean, I do have space for 4 more drives in here, and I would like to fill that up. It's just, I haven't gotten around to that in a while. But yeah, these two 2TB drives really aren't enough anymore. They've been enough for a long time, but yeah, I need a little bit more space than these. But then I have this 1TB drive. There used to be a few more drives in these bays, but I've since removed them because, well, one of them was dying, so I removed that. There were two 500GB drives. One of the two was dying. It had smart issues. The second one went to that laptop because that laptop's hard drive had died. And yeah, the old 160GB drive that used to be in here is now in that desktop. So this poor little desktop, poor big desktop, has just lost a bunch of its drives to other computers. But yeah, now that I've moved everything around, I'm hoping that I won't have this issue again. I had to remove the graphics card though, because I can't get to these SATA ports because the graphics card goes into this slot, because this is the only slot where it can fit, because it has this teeny tiny little gap right here to slide right in, which none of the other ones do. And actually, I could probably remove this drive cage for now and fit it into this slot to make it a little bit easier to service this computer, but that would be counterproductive because in the future I am going to need these drive cages for more hard drives because I have 4 more drives that I can stick into here. I need all the drives. You know, since this is always inside of my desktop, I don't really get to marvel at how pretty it is, but this GPU is really good looking. It's just a shame that it's so freaking gigantic. But I guess it's not the biggest problem in the world because it sure does run cool. It never gets hotter than 70 or 80 degrees Celsius, even when it's overclocked and running at like 100% load for extended periods of time. So I guess it's pretty good. Also, hello there guys, this is Silent Mist and welcome back to the vlog. We didn't start off the vlog yet, but darn computer needs maintenance. Now I just need to put this back in and fasten that up and screw everything in, and it should be good to go. Hopefully we don't have problems anymore. I just cooked up some hash browns for breakfast, and I have to say, these are the best hash browns I've ever made. They look like hash browns for the first time instead of just a bunch of fried potato shreds, and they look pretty darn good. Tastes really good too. But I've been moving over the server and other things, and deleting dynamic map takes such a long time because there are just so many freaking files. But luckily I can move over the rest of the stuff while that's going, so I'm going to move over the Feed the Beast server and the Terraformacraft server, which I'm going to do right now. And that's going to be another 45 gigs. Oh god, that's a lot of storage. Although, some of that might actually be server backups, which aren't supposed to be saved there. Strange. At least... Oh, this is almost done. At least that's getting somewhere. Oh god, that's 100 gigs. Okay, well, I guess I'll eat while I wait for that. So I have my phone here, and over the last few days I've been having some pretty big issues with my phone. And, yeah, basically it's been crashing a lot. It's been running really slow, and it's been really unresponsive. And this was happening about a week ago, and I decided to reinstall Android on my phone. And so I did that, and the issues seem to have gotten, well, not really worse, they just don't seem like they've improved. So, what I'm going to do is something that I didn't think that I would ever do again. Well, something that I was hoping that I'd do again, but I probably wouldn't have done again, and that is reinstall CyanogenMod. So I stopped using CyanogenMod months ago, maybe about half a year ago or so. And the reason behind that was because the stock ROM that you can get instead of CyanogenMod just runs not so much better, but it's better on battery, usually, and the camera is always better, because in order to write a camera app, you need to have access to a bunch of proprietary blobs of code that usually people don't make available. As a result, the camera will always look under stock unless the manufacturer released those blobs. So, I'm sacrificing my camera, but I'm hoping that I will get a usable phone for a little while longer. I'm planning on getting a new phone at some point, but that point is not yet. So I'm looking to get, I don't know, either the S7 or the HTC 10 are the two big ones that are on the top of what I would like to get. But yeah, until then, let's take this thing and put it into recovery. And then I'm just going to completely nuke it and reinstall Android on here. Which is annoying because I finally got everything on here that I needed to get on here, and now it's time to take it all off once again. So, allow modifications, go to wipe, format data, yes, hit enter. That's going to format everything, and then we're going to go back. Actually, usually I do a double format just in case anything decides to linger. I don't know why. A long time ago, people always said just wipe 3 times and do something. But yeah, so I'm just making sure that everything is gone. Go through here, do a full wipe of everything that isn't the micro SD card. And now that that's done, go back, install, nothing here, change this from this to that. And now we can just go over to Flashable and flash this, add more, flash that, add more, and flash that. And flash all 3 of those, and in a little bit, we will have a phone that will boot into CyanogenMod. CM has a lot of perks though, like, even though the camera doesn't really look that good, ever since Marshmallow came out, battery life has improved significantly while the phone is off, and actually that's where like a lot of the battery drain issues had happened, where your battery would just drain really fast while your phone was off. And by really fast, I mean it would drain faster than it should. Your phone, you'd have to recharge your phone every night regardless of how much you used it, because by the end of the day, it would be drained. So a lot of that was fixed when Marshmallow came out, and that was only made better by the stock ROMs, because before the stock ROMs were really good at sipping power while the screen's off. And then they had all the doze features that was built into Marshmallow. So it was just a really, really good experience for battery life. And now I'm hoping that after much more time has elapsed, that this will be usable. Yeah, I have about a little bit more than a week to test this out, because in about a week I'm going to be going down to Maryland for Otakon, and at that time this thing needs to be working, or I need to have the second phone, a new phone. And yeah, I'm not sure what I want to do with the new phone, because the S7 is really close to being the phone that I want, and the HTC 10 is pretty much the phone that I want. The only problem with both of them is, well, the S7 has a couple of issues. Bootloader is entirely locked, so if I run into the issues that I'm running into right now, where the phone is like, where I'm unable to do some nifty stuff, and where I'm very unstable on stock ROMs, and so now I'm just going over to CyanogenMod, well, I can't do that on the S7 because it's completely locked down. The problem with the HTC 10, it's not available on AT&T. So what I would probably end up doing is get the S7, sell the S7, get the HTC 10, because yeah, you can't buy the HTC 10 subsidized on AT&T, which is unfortunate, but yeah. Well, this thing is going slowly though, so yeah, I'm going to let this thing install. Oh yeah, so the reason why I want to get the S7, or the reason why I want the S7 is because it's more or less the best of the best in terms of Android phones. The only problems are the locked bootloader, and it only has USB 2 for charging and everything, which honestly isn't that bad since I don't transfer stuff to a phone super often, but if I were to do that, that would be a problem. The biggest issue is just the fact that the bootloader is entirely locked, and the main issues with the HTC 10 are that you can't get it on AT&T, and actually I think that's like the only problem that I have with it. The S7 apparently has a pretty DAC, or amplifier built into it, so audio isn't the best. And apparently PowerAmp has issues with the S7, which would be a problem since I use PowerAmp for all of my music, and that's like one of the most important things that I would do with a phone, is listen to music. and the DAC inside the HTC 10 is fantastic. So that's why I really want the HTC 10, because it's just a really good all-around phone. It doesn't have any glaring issues. But there are other phones that are out right now. I'm not really interested in getting an iPhone just because I don't like iOS that much. I mean, I acknowledge it as probably the best phone in terms of hardware choices, but it's just not I don't like the OS. I don't like not being able to do what I want to do. The G5 apparently has some build issues where it's kind of not really fragile. It's just because everything is so removable, everything becomes loose and stuff gets caught in between the joints, and it's just not a phone that I'd want to use for another 2 years. What are the other flagships? There's the OnePlus 3, which I almost want. When I saw the final specs of the OnePlus 3 in the final build, I was so disappointed because the screen, 1080p, great. I am perfectly fine with a 1080p display. OLED, great. I love OLED displays. Pentile, 1080p, not okay. That's what my old S4 had, and it was barely noticeable, but you could see the crisscross effect that Pentile screens usually have on 1080p at that screen size, so that's a problem. No microSD slot, which is super important for me because my phone doesn't have the space to hold, or any phone that you would buy doesn't have the space to hold all the stuff that I want to throw on it. Usually that's why I have a 120 gig microSD card in here. And then, what was the other large problem? Oh yeah, so I really don't care for a thin phone. I mean, I don't want a super thick phone, but the OnePlus 3 traded a lot of battery life for thinness, which is just not something that I like or am okay with. I would much rather have a larger battery than a thinner phone, especially because their mentality is, well, we have quick charging on here, or whatever their version of quick charging is, so you can just charge up your phone when it starts to drain, but that's just adding a problem and then adding a workaround for that problem, as opposed to just not having the problem at all. So thin phones, don't like that. Yeah, and there are a couple of other phones, all of which have one or two glaring issues that the HTC 10 doesn't have. So, yeah, if only it was available on AT&T. It makes it so much harder to get, because it's not. But, yeah, the big issues with this phone right now are the stability and the audio port. The audio port is super messed up on these phones. The G3 as a whole, they all have issues with their audio jack where unless you have a headset with an inline mic, there are connection issues where it'll think that you have an inline mic and controls, and whenever the cable gets wiggled or jostled, something will short, and it'll pause your song, it'll change songs, it'll open up Google Now, all of which is really annoying because you don't want that to open while you're listening to music, and it just does. On top of that, because the port is a little loose, whenever the jack wiggles at all, you can hear a lot of noise, and sometimes one of the ears goes out. And it's not an issue with the headphones because it happens with just about every single pair of headphones, that doesn't have an inline mic, and the headphones that I use on this phone, I use on my computer usually, and it doesn't have those issues. That and a lot of people have these issues with this phone, so I'm going to assume that's what it is. But it's all done, guys. Android or CyanogenMod has been installed. Let's see if it reboots correctly or if we're going to have issues. Hopefully it'll work without issues. And what the heck? You cannot read that. That is a random graphic that you're never going to see, but looks like it is booting, which is good. It's been a long time, CyanogenMod, a long time. Wow. This is almost nostalgic. Okay, I'll be back after I get this thing set up. Jake right now. There's Hello. Jake, except it's tomorrow, so I'm gonna end off the vlog now. See you guys tomorrow.